to run, you have one that's going to be purely focused on probably building up that paint, getting a lot of paint for your teammates, making sure those strikes are coming out ever so often, while the other can be used for maybe advantageous or disadvantaged states that you can kind of use a little bit more accurately rather than just pop them just to pop them. And I know something we've been seeing a lot less of thus far is Squeezer. A lot more players are opting to go with the sword, which I believe we saw a little bit ago coming from one of the sides. I believe it was Moonlight side. I think they were going to run the Decapitator. So I love teams kind of throwing some ideas out in the air, see what might stick, especially with some weapons already being changed to be less than ideal.
Yeah, and despite all that, it seems like Pencil was still alive and well. Also seeing a lot of Pencils so far, so I haven't been watching all day, but I don't recall seeing a heavy edit anywhere, though. It seems like that's been kind of the big loser of the patch so far. A lot of people really not a fan of that paint nerf, but it looks like we're about to jump in, this time with 8 members in the room, so let's get into it.
Absolutely. Taking a look now officially at these comps. Yes, there's the decap, and just as I said before, though, a little bit of a jinx is the Squeezer actually coming out by Nolan on the side of Moonlight, and I love that Simo's going to be running the tent with Zuka. That's going to be a double Zuka comp on the side of BTDX. See what they can challenge here. Maybe try to eye out where they can get rid of the Pencil on the side of Moonlight.
Yeah, it's interesting decision making because, you know, Shadowwind definitely one of the more skilled 10 players out there, but he's going to be going with the T-Deck instead, so we'll see if Simo can kind of make them regret going tentless on this map. You see just kind of using this tent shield, getting some space, and somehow getting 2 at the same time at different parts there.
It makes me wonder right there if the tent shield was actually able to get the pick because they were so weak. If it was, it might have been the Panic Zuka, which although was slightly nerfed during the patch, was just not enough for a full difference of running less Zukas in the comp. As right now, BTDX is showing a dominant performance, being able to hold the zone for so long until just now Moonlight able to swap it up. Omega trying to get rid of that tent shield, trying to push away Simo at the end there, doing a great job. Some players falling back for that cooler. A lot of great pairings here by Moonlight, making sure they can hold off some more of the members of BTDX, but it's not enough. They're back in control of zone.
And that was a great job by Mecha there, winning that fight and then turning around and getting the other pick. And now we see the Zuka just to attack on, make it a triple. And now not going to rest there, pushing up, able to take out Shadow while he was striking and then jumping out to safety. Just textbook gameplay there.
Yeah, I mean, that's really what you call great player awareness. You're able to spot where these players are that might be using their specials, especially if you're communicating well with your team. Someone could have called that out, immediately looked over that side and get that pick. Moonlight on the back pedal here. They have to reset. They have to go in together with some specials. So they want a chance at holding this zone back. Tossing these strikes out very slowly here. Unfortunately, Slosher on the side is going to pick them off, but those strikes will be enough just to hold that zone. And now, right away, whoa, nice double. That's a triple play by Omega with the decab. Oh, what an incredible weapon.
Oh, it's got to be so satisfying to take out 2 people with just one swipe, and that's exactly what happened there. Mecha, really good job there to get Moonlight back in control here.
Yeah, I mean, Omega's putting on an incredible display of this weapon, showing all it can do, while the rest of Moonlight are kind of holding off on the sides. They have specials ready as well. It's going to be strikes online for Shadow, looking for a great opportunity to use them. It might be coming soon, considering they just swapped over for that lead. Bubble popped as well on that snipe to hold off more space. Fortunately, Pencil will go down. Down goes 2 more. It is just Omega somehow still holding on, getting one, looking for another, gets another. Can they hold on? Omega gets 3. Omega is holding down, getting a quad, allowing for their team to come back and try to fight for zone.
Oh my gosh. Man, I feel like a lot of people are going to be wanting to pick up Decapitator after this day.
Oh, man, absolutely. Especially after that display. I mean, that was truly incredible.
Let's see now the Shark here with the tent. One-shots the T-Tech and now spinning around and just trying to get some control of zone here. We see the paint coming out. Nolan trying to hold on, but not going to be able to. Going to get rushed and then taken down.
BTDX in a really great position right here. They have a good amount of control, but their strikes ready on both sides. I know BTDX is waiting to see if they can catch any players lacking. for an opportunity to use those strikes, but they're going to be actually used to counteract Moonlight strikes that before would be able to cap the zone. Nice bubble by Omega to hold in a little bit more space for their squeezer. Nolan to kind of hold some pressure. That's going to be a cap down there and a full wipeout for Moonlight. Now they're able to take a lot of space and build up specials as Nolan is just right there for Zuka.
Yeah, the penalty is not very big, so this really is going to be the fight that they're going to have to win, and that's not a great start there. It looks like a bomb kill, able to take down the 10 Umbrella. Now we see the Zuka coming out, trying to catch somebody, not going to be able to, but we see now they're just trying to get some specials. They have the Zuka ready on their own. Mecha's going to try to find somebody here with the strikes. He's going to be able to, and now they just need to get some pain on the zone. They have a 2-man advantage at the moment. Going to try to just lock out Nolan here. They will get the flip, and we'll see if they can finish off Nolan. Yeah, just before he jumps out.
Great play of a 2v1 situation there. Unfortunately, they couldn't get out. Now it's BTDX holding this zone, and they're really close to knocking out those penalty points, able to build up some natural ones in hopes of getting a lead. Oh, but Simo goes down. There's potential that you could really use. Down goes their Slosher, and Moonlight quickly takes that back, and with the strikes coming on out, 10 more seconds to go. This might be in favor of Moonlight.
Yeah, just a little bit more. Not too many players left alive. We see Simo get a nice pick, but gonna get taken out as well. It is gonna be the game. So, wow, this is gonna be quite a set here. You know, we saw anytime you can get a multiple flips of possession of the zone whenever you're already in last-ditch effort territory. You know, these teams are just so evenly matched, so good at having a plan to retake, but Moonlight able to get the early victory.
Yeah, great performance by Moonlight, even in situations that look like they might have been down for the count. I mean, we had some really amazing clutch plays come out from some of the members on Moonlight, especially Omega halfway through that game there, being able to get a full wipe pretty much as players kept on coming in from BTTX, just holding that positioning and allowing the rest of their members to come back in. I mean, that was such a highlight of that game that, like you've said before, a lot of decaf lovers are now going to be poking around.
Yeah, just crazy. So wait for the next map to come in, but if you're BTDX, it's definitely, you know, you're thinking we had them, we were pretty close, and you look back at kind of their route. You know, the other team that going into this set matching Moonlight as far as records go with a 3-1 record, the Mango Heckmech team, BTDX took them to a game 5. So you know, they've had a pretty long, painful tournament run here. Really taken a lot of games off some high teams, but just not quite getting the victory. So we'll see if this time they can finish the job here on Brinewater Springs.
Brinewater Springs, such an interesting map to counter pick, but again, it's a very short map. You could be in the enemy's spawn ramp in a matter of seconds if you get even half of a wipeout, forcing the rest to back up. But you do have those flank routes you could come off of from the sides, which I could totally see a lot of players wanting to use, especially like if they keep going Squeezer on the side of Moonlight. I mean, strikes also single-handedly cap zone so easily here, a lot better than you could if you wanted to try to go something like Reef Slider because of the block in the middle, which blocks a lot of entryway. So it's going to be interesting to see what these teams are going to maybe counteract with any kind of comp changes to try to, you know, give them any kind of advantage.
Yeah, this map definitely just feels good for the backliners because they can just influence so much of the zone, even past the zone, without even really putting themselves in that much of harm's way. So it really is going to be just kind of what backline weapons get chosen and what weapons are going to be targeting those backlines. You know, do we do double Zdooka to try to just keep them honest? Do we do some kind of blaster to keep them from peeking the ledges? And let's see what they go with.
All right, we're going to see the Neo Splash come out of Moonlight, as well as from BTDX. Having those quick strikes and a lot of paint is a really good call. And we also are actually going to see Simo switch to the custom range blaster for Kraken, another great choice. And it's also double strikes for BTDX. So it's some great special usage opportunities that right away we're going to see it come on out. Both strikes come at the same time, trying to cap the zone, and they'll get it back.
My god, just tons of kills. I mean, both teams just getting their getting their coolers out and just like fight, and that's exactly what's going to happen. But it is going to be Moonlight now getting the advantage once again, and we see running all the way up into BTDX base. They have really good control right now, and they're going to have to use strikes to try to get them off this area.
Yeah, I mean, this is the dangerous part about this map, is you're able to just really hold forward and almost be in their spawn. A nice Zuka from the side by Nolan captures a player trying to flank around. Nolan has a really good hold here on their ramp. Cooler will be popped, and they're going to use that to their advantage to maybe feed forward just a little bit more, as Nolan tries to find a pick on another one. Strikes take out one. Nolan gets another. They're looking for the last two members, and they're going to be able to get them all except for one that jumps out, but that's practically a delayed wipe.
Yeah, this is now getting to the point of the game where they need to make something happen here, and something is happening. The Kraken now getting one and forcing the rest back, so it is going to be the zone of control for BTDX. We see the cooler come out. The Blasts are just going to be poking along these ledges, going to try to keep Basil taken out right now with the help of Pony on the pencil. So now it is going to be a good opportunity for a longer hold now for BTDX, but their frontliners are going to get taken down as the rest are pinning the zone, so maybe not going to be able to hold this advantage as long as they'd hoped.
You know, and jumps are going to come on in, somehow be able to get that pick. The Slosher takes out the Neo Splash. Little trade-off there. A lot of trades just kind of going off in the center right now, as BTDX is still in control of this zone, although they're going to get picked off immediately by Nolan, holding forward, being able to quickly get these picks off. Pencil holds it together, but a flank around from Shadow gets 2 to 3 players. They're back in control, and strikes are online to further this control.
Nolan might have just really saved things there, because if he doesn't pick out the shot, then the jump to the shot as well as the pencil were able to live, maybe even hold the zone. So really big play right there to get the team back in control. And we see though BTDX is gonna just take it right back now, so they're working on the penalty once again.
Mecha tried to have a little bit of a shark around that corner. Shadow captures it though real quickly. Strikes are going to be online. 3v3 on the map. Strikes will come on out and try to flip that zone. Omega with a nice slash on the Slosher around the corner. Something that the Decapitator is so good at. Bubble with panic pop there. It might not have been enough. Shadow somehow sneaking on through just to jump back out. Incredible use of that cooler, being able to get out in no time. And that's going to be 2 players down from Moonlight. BTDX still holding on.
We've seen some wild cooler jumps all day, just enabling people to just take the most aggressive positions and then just bail out immediately. Always keeping people on their toes, because they have to look at it. Even if they think they're not going to commit, they still have to pay attention to it. And then we see trying to get out there, but this time not quite enough. But we see the lead is very dangerously close to changing here. Moonlight's going to have to capture soon, or else they are in danger of losing it. It looks like they are going to lose it just barely and get control back.
The 1-point lead is gonna haunt Moonlight if they're unable to turn this around, but they have really good control here. Strikes are used to try to get the front lines in. Nolan doing a great job at walling that off, and Omega looking for an opportunity trying to swim in. Simo's gonna flank around here, see if they get any good blaster picks, but they're caught immediately by Shadow, denying it, but the zone was capped.
I don't know how none of those blaster shots were able to get the pick on Shadow, just hitting the floor a little too much. But as we enter the last 45 seconds of this game, it's once again everybody's game, basically identical score, basically identical penalties, and we see the strikes hang out. It is going to be BTDX in control once again. We see dropping on the blast here, going to get punished for that as Nolan, and now a jump out, so they are going to have to try to take this with a member down.
Yeah, Bubble's going to be popped by Omega to hold that front area. A nice pick on the Slosher. Omega gets one, but Pony trades that back. Pony doing a great job at holding this angle, making it really hard for Moonlight to get on in. 10 more seconds to go, and they just cap the zone with a couple more points taken for BTX. If Moonlight can hold, they'll be sending this into overtime with 2 players down. I don't think they'll be able to do it. No. BTDX ties the score 1-1.
Man, yeah, very, very, again, just these games are so back and forth. I love seeing just so many zone possession changes here. We're not getting just kind of I thought maybe we were on our way to seeing that lockout early on whenever all the members of Moonlight were able to push up so far into BTX's base there, but these players are so good. They don't panic. you know, even if the score is really not looking their way and they have no presence on the map whatsoever, they're going to get their specials and slowly claw their way back and live to fight another day. And that's exactly what they did, and it got them the win.
Yeah, you know, so one thing I noticed between the difference between Moonlight and BTDX when they had that swap and aggression was that Moonlight really tried to hold forward in the openings. And I mean, they did a great job at it for a little bit, but when BTX had control, they weren't exactly going all the way up to the spawn to rush those picks. They played it very patiently, and they knew some players were going to have some advantages over those corners, like Omega on the decap. And I think that was brought into their attention early on, especially during that first game with a nice double that Omega was able to get. So playing it a little bit more carefully and not just so you know, spontaneous really helped them get that lead and that win.
Yeah, and so now as we await game 3, we are going to go to Umami Ruins. Curious to see here if maybe we see the 10 umbrella come back out. You know, it's the zone is maybe, you know, each zone just a little bit wider than that 10 shield, so you can kind of get a lot of free paint on that zone by just shooting the shield out, and then you have that kind of narrow ramp to go up to the enemy spawn. Also perfect for being able to just kind of use a shield to brute force your way through there. But then we saw Simo also go range blaster here. I think that could be a strong pick as well, because you know, these pencil players are able to control so much of the map from the snipe or from the top mid area if they have control. So gonna be really interested to see what they go with.
Yeah, definitely. And both are excellent choices for Bet to go with. I mean, those are a little interesting kind of coin flips. What do you do? What do you pick? And especially with the enemy team, if you're able to get into your opponent's spawn, I mean, if you're able to bring your backlane, the pencil, up onto the little dome area, you're going to be in for quite the lockout. So that's going to be something to consider, finding ways to get back in if anything like that happens, because a little bit like Brine Water, once you're able to get past those zones, the spawn's right there. You could just hold around those block areas, that little ramp spot, and hold for a while, especially if you're able to kind of stagger those specials and make the other team have to find another way in.
Yeah, and I'd say compared to the first 2 maps we saw, this map, to me at least, seems much harder to retake. So I'm very curious to see how teams choose to approach this very first fight. You know, are they going to play more passive and just kind of wait for the cooler to come out before they fight, or are they going to try to get a jump on whatever team is doing that and try to rush them down before they can even get the coolers? Going to be really crucial here, more so than either of the first 2 maps, as far as what happens in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, that's right, because this is a split zone map. So if you're going to control one of the sides, you want to be able to go in together and take full control, at least of one of them. Especially having control of that top mid area is going to give you such an advantage of being able to help kind of be over those ledges. And something that the blaster, like you mentioned before, being really good at poking those ledges, poking the great areas. It can also, if sat properly on top mid, can poke either of those sides, especially the other end of that little plat area that a lot of players love to swim up. So that could be a great spot to catch any players trying to shark through for an opportunity on either of those sides. So it's gonna definitely change the way some of them are gonna have to react with the either both cooler and special usages, and how they're gonna want to try to attack both those zones.
I'm disappointed it took me this long to realize, but you know, in the wisdom of the Sendou seeding, we should have known we'd be in for a good set, because this is the 4 seed Moonlight going up against the 5 seed BTDX. So more on the agenda, and it looks like, yeah, they're gonna stick with the range blaster. Why not? I got you the win last game, and we see early pencils just painting there for the coolers, and we see immediately a bucket trying to take top mid. Gonna have to back off though, because all that fire gonna focus there, and we see both coolers come out. It looks like it is gonna be Moonlight gets it out just a little early, but they are gonna be the first to go down.
Yeah, and something else I noticed is that Moonlight decided to bring out the vanilla Splash-O-Matic, and that's going to have Crab, a really good weapon on trying to poke out anything from far range, because it has just that Hydra length of range to poke any team or enemy players out. And right now, unfortunately, they weren't able to find any picks with it, and strikes slow up Moonlight's push back in. But with Zuka online, they're going to need to look for at least one pick here with it to try to take back the zone, as they are going to be able to find one with the Zuka, find another, but Simo's Kraken trades it out and finds another one.
Oh man, it hurts so much to get taken out by the Kraken right before the special ends, and Simo just making good use of just the full length of their special. And now we see right now Mecha gonna run down Nolan here, as Nolan's gonna be occupied by the blaster. Is gonna be able to avenge Simo that gets taken out, and now it is gonna be that control for BTDX at the moment. Now we see the strikes come out, forcing Omega to drop it. Omega's gonna get the pick and then just jump out. And we see Shadow trying to take use of that space now. We see the Crab coming out as well to really pressure top mid and the sides.
Yeah, Shadow doing a great job at using that Crab to support their teammates as well, getting rid of the blaster on the right side, which has really been a damper in Moonlight's ability to push on forward. Omega's already getting to get one picked off in the front, somehow still staying alive as Shadow. That helps a lot with those burst bombs. It's going to be 3 players down for BDTX. It's just the pencil, and Shadow's going to try to rush them, but they'll jump on out. Moonlight now in a really good advantageous state, trying to push on forward, take more than just the lead.
Oh my gosh, and there's a nice direct, and we see the Kraken come out now as members are running up to the base, and we're going to see a Kraken go up against the Crab. The Crab didn't fall, a little bait there, just hanging on to that block, and now it is going to be more points ticking away now, and it looks like they're going to have a hard time breaking it now, as the only member left is the blaster. Just going to try to hope for maybe a direct here, but Nolan going to rush down, going to get avenged, but they only have 10 more seconds to try to make something happen.
And those burst bombs are going to get a nice damage on the Slosher. They're going to take control of one zone at a time, striking the other side with both of the strikes that they have. Can they get it? Yes, they will. And taking out Basil in the process. That's going to be no pencil available. We do see the bubble was popped by Omega, trying to see if they can get a little bit extra paint usage. But Simo's Kraken's going to have to back up after destroying it, making sure they don't get picked off themselves. Penalty points are over, and now Moonlight's going to look for an opportunity to push back in with the Crab.
Yeah, and we see the Crab coming out, able to pick off Simo, but so far Control not really going their way, and we see the strikes now coming out. They're going to have to rush in, but they're not going to be able to take them out. 2 members go down, and now we're entering a dicey situation here. Penalty's already burned through. They only have 30 seconds left to try to make something happen. The cooler comes out. They also have strikes online ready, so they're going to have to... Moonlight's going to have to try to find some kind of picks here if they want to stop this KO as it's coming. We see the Zuka come out. Oh, not quite able to find somebody, and it's going to get taken out as well. We see Omega here on the side, hanging out in the bubble, at least trying to hang on to the zone for the time being, but it's the right zone that's the problem. They're not quite able to get it. We see the strikes come out, and it looks like the zone is going to stay in control of Bet Destroy X, and we see the double, the triple, not quite the quad. The win is going to go to Destroy X here.
Wow, I mean, first of all, that blaster AoE to finish that off getting 2 was a beautiful use of that weapon's just ability. But yeah, I mean, Bet is able to secure the win, now being 1 game away from taking this round 5 set. What an incredible hold. And you almost think that to see, especially at the end there with those strikes, that they kind of predicted where Moonlight was going to use those specials. I mean, it was a lot of times that Crab was being popped on that block over and over, and you can only do things so often before it's caught on, and that Crab was shredded instantly by those strikes. Omega tried to go a pick on the pencil, wasn't enough even after holding for so long on that zone. And the rest of the members unfortunately follow suit to the fate of just getting picked off at the end. But great win by Bet, and Moonlight was already raring to go with their counter pick map of Robo Ramen.
Yeah, Moonlight really getting tested here for the first time in this tournament. Their first two sets were 3-0 victories, and then finally they dropped a game in their 3rd set, and then Green Star, really looking like a strong team here, was able to 3-0 them, but now they're on the back ropes once again. So it's rough going through a tournament. The first 3 rounds you only lose 1 game, and then all of a sudden round 4 and 5 so far, you've already dropped 5 games combined in those. So try not to make it a 6th here if they can just stay alive and try to turn this set around. as you said, the counter pick is Robo Ramen, so we'll see what they have planned here.
Yeah, I'm really curious again about Simo's pick, what they're going to go here, because Blaster is great to use on that front ledge around the glass where most pencils like to hang out. I mean, the Tent Shield also does a really good job at pushing through mid and also painting practically half the zone once it's going through. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to counter with their comps if they change anything at all. But, you know, so far, they haven't changed much because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It's been getting them solid wins so far. And for Moonlight, I'm wondering if they're going to bring back out the Neo Splash for strikes. Are they going to hold on to that V Splash, or are they going to switch things up a little bit more? Maybe double cooler for all we know. I believe that player plays the Zap a lot, but I don't have to speculate anymore. We're going right into it.
Yeah, and again, we're seeing basically the same thing coming out from Moonlight, and we see the Range Blaster. It's hard to argue against the Range Blaster when it got you 2 wins, whereas the 10 Umbrella got you that loss back in game 1, kind of, you know, forced the other team to make you adapt. And right now, it looks like Moonlight is pretty set in the comp that they want to use, just better executed here. We see Omega just starting off on the side, able to chase away one member. We see Mecha here with the early strikes, and it is going to be an early member down for Moonlight. So BTDX picking up right where they left off.
Yeah, doing a great job just getting these picks. Mecha getting 2 before getting picked off by Omega. Omega swiftly taking out another player there, holding this forward. Bubble is going to come on out. They're going to pick off one last player, and the zone is going to flip over for Moonlight's favor. Although holding forward just a little too much. Omega punished for that quick aggression, and strikes will come on out again to get punished only by Nolan. And Azuka from underneath takes out 2. Oh my, Moonlight's looking really solid right now.
Oh man, yeah, Nolan not discouraged by these squeezer nerfs, able to get a ton of value out of the weapon there, as we saw potentially saving the set right now, as we're already down to 50 with the timer. We see Shadow has the strikes ready, just kind of painting up the flanks right now. So much control on the side. They're going to try to have to break that control with the strikes, with the Kraken, able to chase some members away, but it doesn't look like the members of BTDX have been able to move in. In fact, they're getting taken out by Omega.
Omega holding strong. Unfortunately, the bubble just shrunk a little bit too much there, and they get picked off. But with no specials immediately ready for BTDX, Moonlight just has to try to hold, but they're going to go players down. Strikes are going to shoo them away. Omega can only hold so long at the end there by themselves. Bet is going to take control of that zone, hold it now, and try to build up specials to further this, because they have quite a ways to go before they get that lead back.
That was a huge job by Pony, able to just neutralize the zone, just stop the counter, because their splash player was about 90% to strikes, but if you don't at least stop the timer, then the strikes are going to come in too late. So good job just able to extend the game as a team there, and, you know, just live to fight another day. And we see now Simo coming up, trying to get some value of this Kraken, but we see they are trying to dodge him pretty well, but not well enough, is able to find Nolan there, but it is going to still be control for Moonlight.
Yeah, Moonlight barely holding on there as they get one down from Simo before. They do have strikes ready, so they could try to clear out that elbow area that Bet's holding on to. Strikes will actually be used to counteract BTDX's, so that we can hold the zone just a little bit more. They're trying to paint over it. Down will go Omega to Simo on the ledge there, being able to poke around. Nolan does have Zuka ready. They're going to try to back up to a comfortable spot, getting rid of Pony, and that is going to be the cooler user down for Bet. And they're going to try to hold on just a little bit more as the Kraken helps take out Omega.
Oh my gosh. A little scary when you have a decapitator just so in your face right there, but the drink able to live another day right now, as we see Pony just trying to pressure, but there is the Bubbler's going to just possess half the zone on its own. Then the strikes will take the other cap. Pretty easy flip of the zone right there for Moonlight. And now Nolan is coolered up, trying to just lock down here. The Zuka is almost ready, gonna find a nice spot to use it right now, and finds one. Almost found a second, but we see the Slosher able to at least hold back, but not long enough. Really nice aim there.
Excellent job there by Nolan being able to get that pick on the slosher. That's a huge pick. Shadow getting a nice bomb spot on Pony. Again, no coolers to be ready. Simo will pop Kraken to find one player. Shadow wants to stay alive here because they do have strikes online. BTDX will pop there, secure the zone back, and Simo's ready to go on forward. Shadow tried to jump back, but the end of the strike caught them, so they're not going to have strikes ready. Bubble gets popped trying to fight a player on the side, but they're all shredding it. Zuka comes in out of nowhere, taking more players down. That's a delayed, no, full wipeout for Moonlight.
Yeah, Nolan is going wild this game. Does not want this set to end right here if they can help it. So right now, just trying to walk back from all this pressure. The team is able to get a pick, and now going to step forward to try to get a kill, but not going to be able to. We see Mecha with the strikes ready there to come out right now with Nolan down. He does jump back in, but the strikes are going to counteract the other strikes, so maybe they're going to need the strikes from the slosher now, but the slosher goes down, so you're not going to get those strikes. Instead, you're just going to have to paint the zone, you know, the old-fashioned way, Kraken helping you out, but they're not going to be able to, and it's going to be Moonlight evening up the set.
Wow, I mean, incredible display there. Moonlight being able to secure incredible picks at the right moments with their specials. That was awesome. I love to see that. And unfortunately, Bet just couldn't find the way back in because Moonlight was set up. They were locked in for those last couple moments, just securing the zone. I love at the end there how the Kraken just tried to do something. Kraken kind of swim in the zone, but it can only paint so much. So they tied up the set. It's 2-2, anyone's game.
Yeah, we'd love to see it. So the stakes for this final game, if Moonlight wins, they just cleanly move on to our top cut here. If BTDX wins, then I don't know. We're in kind of tiebreaker hell here. We'll have 3 teams that are 3-2. I can't really math right now to know who would have the edge as far as wins losses for matches, but if you're Moonlight, you really hope it doesn't have to come to that, and you can just win this cleanly on Barnacle and Dime.
Yeah, Barnacle and Dime, it's again just only back to the one full zone. There's 2 nice flank routes that you can try to take, but again, a nice snipe with a little bit of a great area that the pencils will probably sit on most of the time, so they'll be able to catch you out there. But the Blast will probably have some fun poking that area off. Strikes will have a good advantage here, capping the zone for the most part on their own, and it's going to be a dangerous situation if you're going to get locked out, because once the enemy team has control of that ramp area towards your plat, things can get a little dicey if you don't have specials to come back in with. And considering how fast BTDX is able to pick their counter for the map, I mean, they're thinking what they want to run, and it's probably going to be a similar comp. Moonlight now has a couple of comps they could run. The T-Tech seem to do the best of the work there, putting out a lot of paint, good fighting capability, as well as a really good capping special. So this is really going to be a close game.
Yeah, you make a good point. This is definitely the final boss as far as lockout favored maps here. Definitely going to be important once again what happens early on, but you know, if I'm BTDX, I'm going to be really worried about what this Decapitator is doing with these flanks. Not only able to get in positions that you might not expect, but able to hold those positions with the big bubblers. So definitely a lot of cause for concern. The communication is going to have to be on point here to know where that Decapitator is at all times.
Yeah, definitely, especially with how well it can just turn corners on a dime and be able to get some great picks. I mean, we saw it before, and this map is no stranger to having a lot of ledges around that you could just pick right off. All it takes is the decap to shark right underneath the snipe and just turn around at a nice 90-degree angle and get someone just poking a little too close to the ramp, and you're able to be in some trouble. So it's, I mean, with a blaster and a decap, just both having their own unique opportunities to get picks and their own specials that can hold a lot of space or force players around. I mean, it's going to be an interesting counter for the other teams, what they want to try to push back in with.
Definitely going to be just interesting here. They we're just kind of figuring out, we had to reset the room, so we want a nice clean, fresh connection, I guess, going into this. So just getting that sorted out here as everybody gets rejoined. you got to build up the suspense a little bit. Game 5, this is the last game of the round robin part of this tournament. One of these teams we're probably not going to, well, one of these teams we're definitely not going to see the rest of the tournament. So I'm just trying to figure out which one that's going to be here is what we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not, unfortunately not on purpose, but we love to have suspense built up, have everyone just kind of at the edge of their seat, wanting this game to start, who's going to have the first control and be able to bring it the whole way, which is actually something we haven't seen yet this far, but that's how we have two teams that are really just neck and neck at skill level. Is that no one team is just hard in control of that zone for the entire duration. It's really just consistent back and forth, a lot of fighting to get back in, and a lot of good pick opportunities on both sides to get a lot of trades on the map to make it really dangerous for anyone to want to have to push into too far altogether, because the last thing you really want to do is just wipe out in key situations.
Yeah, both these teams have really proved their mastery at being able to retake, which, really speaks to their skill, because, if you are one of these top teams, you probably don't get a ton of practice retaking unless it is against other top teams. Most of the time, you're going to be the team in control, you're going to be the team defending, you're going to be the team KOing. So to get the practice in to learn, okay, what do we do when we're at a disadvantage? That just speaks to both these teams, their kind of drive, their dedication, playing this game, and just being able to know how to react whenever the odds are against them.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of teams might fumble underneath the pressure of, right? It's that being able to get back in and keep holding forward without, unfortunately, feeding your way through and putting your team in a stagger. You have to be a little bit more coordinated and have good opportunities to get back in without wasting too many resources, which a lot of teams tend to do, whether it's using a Zuka at the same time as you're using your strikes, or using any other special, like for the instance of Bet, if you're going to use Kraken at the same time as you might use your strikes. Having those chained together is going to get you a lot further than it is at the same time. So here we go. It is a match point for both teams. The comps are rolling out. Shadow sticking to that T-Tech and the same comp out of Bet that we've been seeing for the past couple games.
Yeah, both teams now just kind of rolling with what they're comfortable with. We see the Pencil staying back to get their cooler while the other members rush forward to try to get early control of the zone. It is going to be Moonlight getting the very early cap, and now going to try to just harass on this plat. Going to have to back up with the strikes here, so it is going to be now BTDX. We get early control. We see a trade go down at first, and both teams just kind of playing things, poking around, waiting for their specials, and now wondering if these strikes can maybe catch somebody jumping back in, but not quite that lucky. It's going to be Shadow now just kind of moving in, clearing out space. We see the big bubbler come out as well to try to hold some space while the decapitator died. Not going to be able to hold that space though, and we see early on just both teams back and forth trying not to wipe, as you said, which is just so crucially bad on this map.
Yeah, because once you're gonna get wiped out, it's one heck of a hard time to get back in, because you're so limited, especially with that front plat area that we see Bet is kind of stuck in right now. This might as well have been a wipeout for them, because they can't find a proper way in, and they're just gonna have to wait for some specials. We do see that they do have strikes online for Moonlight. Simo's gonna come on out with the Kraken to shoot players away, but with the Slosher going down and the Kraken not finding any last minute picks, they're just kind of burning specials here on Bet. Moonlight's just 30 points away from taking this game.
No, and you do not want to see a big bubbler there as a member goes down now. So only 2 people left now. This is really just going to have to be a true last-ditch effort. They need to make something happen here. Need to find some picks really now, down to 8 seconds. And is Moonlight finally going to run away with the first quick KO of the game, of the set? They will. And it is going to be Moonlight taking the set in 5 games over BTDX.
Oh, an incredible set played, incredible game secured. Moonlight taking it away. having just a great positioning all around during that whole game. I mean, from the little bit back and forth in the beginning to just being able to get pretty much a delayed wipeout and forcing Bet just into that really rough area on the map just to try to get out of from their spawn. I mean, there's so many different ways you could try to get out, but it's really going to come down to what you're able to make with what you can. And Moonlight was able to stop whatever outcome it was going to try to be for Bet to escape. So Moonlight secures that with a 3-2. And I believe that does secure Moonlight into an opportunity to go to top cut.